Hello there. If you're just joining us, we're grateful that you've made the time. If you've stayed with us, we're grateful to you as well. Thank you for joining the news review belt of the AM show with yours truly. Right before we get into it, right before I introduce my guest, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. We talk about them every morning. They're helping us bring you this segment, and there are crucial matters they want us to bring to your doorstep. One, if you're a man, you've never checked your prostate, or you've not checked in a while, this is a great opportunity for you to do so for free. If you're a woman, you don't know what your fertility status is. This is a great opportunity for you to know for free. Just head to any of the branches of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic and they'll sort you out. Now, here's where you can locate them. If you're here in Accra, you can go to Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. There's also Kumasi if that's where you find yourself. That is Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. If you're in Tema, Community 22 is where you can find them. Then there's also Takrady Anaji Estate, there's Techiman Hanswa and Esiama in Zima. Their call lines are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review, we're joined by Dr. Kwame Asante, my former lecturer in the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana. He also is director of the Center for European Studies. I am never shy of mentioning those who have taught me in the past because once your teacher, always your teacher. Doc, good morning.
Good morning. And Ben, I must say I'm humbled.
Yes. You can't change the script. What is. Anyway. Like we usually do on a Wednesday morning, I'd like to give you the opportunity of sharing your thoughts on anything. We'll definitely talk about the low turnout at the district level elections and all of that. They're in the papers. But is there anything that has happened in between the last time we spoke and now that you'd like to raise?
I think I want to look at how the EC has so far conducted the district assembly elections. And I'm sure it dovetails into what you have in mind. I must say that, yes, if you look at some places, large places that they've covered, the performance was very much on top. However, there are pockets of problems that cause for worry. There are places where people talk about lack of electoral materials and other problems associated with it. Remember, elections are, must be organized in a manner that will not raise any doubt or suspicion. So once you have the election management body whose duty it is to ensure that all these things are done and done right, and you have some problems like this, then people will begin to wonder whether they are sleeping on the job or there is something that really drastic that happened to the extent that they could not address it. But whatever the problem is, I expect the EC to perform very well at all times because elections can never be toyed with. This performance that we have seen, I admit that so far, since the coming into office of this EC executive, they have acquitted themselves creditably. But this district assembly election, I think they must go back to the drawing board and get the basis right. We don't want to know, we don't want to hear any excuse and apology and all that. Given contentious nature of elections, you don't want to, be on this type of path. It can create problems for us. All that they need to do, if you listen to Mr. Ahing, they should have started the printing long time to be able to identify whatever problems that are associated with the printing so as to address them. There are a whole lot of things that went wrong. In my constituency or my assembly, for instance, yesterday I was traveling to the place to vote, only to be hit by a call from a Kropong that please forget about it, voting will take place today. That becomes a difficulty because if it happens in other places, maybe you have a day to go and exercise your franchise. The next day, there is something that you cannot run away from and all that. We believe that they must be able to do things right as we are preparing for 2024. And all the problems that they have identified that have plagued this election and then the last general election, it is the time for them to learn and address them head on. We don't want to see a repeat of that in the 2024 and a lot of incidents that happened that went under the carpet. We don't want to see that. So if they need support, they need to be able to be open and share their problems. Problem shared is problem solved. Then we'll be able to come in and support them. But we don't want any excuses and apology. Apologies do not fix any problem. They need to get their acts right.
Solid points you've made there. I just want to run this by you, lest I forget. There was also the bit about, we did some stories today, for example, talking about twins who struggled to vote because their biometrics were problematic. Now they are twins. So you can expect that even with twins, you know that your fingerprints will not be exactly the same. It is not the same for any two people anywhere. But because they are twins, I'm sure there were similarities and the biometrics struggled with them. My question then, you know that the Electoral Commission has been talking about not using the indelible ink or the other bits that marks your little finger or wherever when you vote in the coming election. And some people have said, no, this is a recipe for disaster. You keep saying that you have the systems in place, biometrics and all of that, so that people can't double vote. And that maybe there's a QR code, or is it, what do they even call that bit? So that once you vote, your code is quashed. But why not have more layers, right? Why take away something that has worked for such a long time? Just let it be an extra layer to confirm so that people don't vote twice, because it could be a recipe for disaster. What do you think about that?
I think I share in your opinion. You couldn't have said it much better than what you did. You are spot on in the sense that something that has worked for you, why do you want to change it? Change it for what? If you are talking about finance, we know that election costs a lot of money. And that is why this country, in spite of our meager resources, we're trying to make sure that we provide the resources ourselves to fund our elections. Previously, we have had donors who have been able to support us through thick and thin. And last election, the EC announced that for the first time, we have been able to fund elections ourselves. Good news. But that should not take away something that has worked for us for a very long time. Why do you change a winning team? I don't get it. The logic behind that is WAP, in the sense that if it has worked for you and you take it off, are you looking, so you are now going to address problems that are associated with a new one. You have, as you said, second layer. So the new one that you are experimenting, if there are problems, you can fall on the old one. But to scrap it, please, they must tread cautiously, because for 2024, a lot are at stake, and that nobody will countenance that. So that is not a time to experiment anything. What has worked for us, let it be. If you have an additional thing, a layer that you want to introduce, fine, but that should not scrap the earlier one which has worked for us. I don't get the logic. I don't get the logic at all.
Well, we'll see how things go, and we'll see whether the Electoral Commission will listen, because as far as, and from where I sit, you don't want anyone feeling cheated because they think something's happened elsewhere. And like you said, it's a crucial election, 2024. You don't want to mess it up. But let's see how things go. Let's get into the papers quickly, Doc. Daily Graphic, low turnout marks district level elections. WAEC punishes AI-assisted candidates, withholds WASI results. President urges citizens to adopt healthy lifestyles. And the second coming of Nkrumah thrills patrons at the AICC. On the back page, cleanest city agenda. Accra losing filth battle. And if you look at the back page of the Daily Graphic, I mean, look at this. This is central Accra. And the filth will just make you with I don't know whether it's rainwater that has collected, a lot of plastic. Just look there. That is Accra. That is Accra. So I'll start from there. Some parts of the capital city are inundated with solid waste in volumes that pose dire health risks to members of the public and threaten the quality of the environment. While several tons of waste are generated daily in homes and business enclaves, there is inefficient waste management value chains to keep the city clean. For almost a year now, the Daily Graphic has observed that popular markets and business centers such as Agbogbloshie, London Market at Jamestown, Abosuokai, CMB, Malata, Kaneshie, and Nima are engulfed in filth, posing health risks to traders and shoppers. In these markets, flies compete with traders for vegetables, meat, fish, and other foodstuffs. At the Agbogbloshie market, for instance, gutters that are heavily pregnant with all manner of waste emit offensive odor that pollutes the air. Apart from the markets, several heaps of refuse are dotted along the shoulders of major roads and streets, while the underpass of some overpasses have become safe havens for mountains of refuse. For instance, the Graphic Road, the Kaneshie Odoko stretch of the Dr. Buzia Highway, and the Abosuokai Agbogbloshie roads have virtually been turned into unsightly refuse dumps. And from August to December this year, the Daily Graphic counted at least 14 heaps of refuse between Kaneshie First Light and the Graphic Communications Group Limited head office almost on a daily basis. And it goes on and on. You can check out the story. But Doc, this is the tail of the tape. We said we would make Accra the cleaner city in Africa. We've invested in it. I don't know what we have to show. I do remember some years ago, it was so bad, even Jubilee House, right behind it, there were photos of a heap of rubbish behind the presidency. You can go back in time and find the story in there. So I don't know how we'll deal with this. Doc, any thoughts?
Ben, we have a problem in this country, but we have decided that will not fix the problem. We keep on compounding the problem. It creates problems for us. Where is the capacity of government? You and I, as students of politics, we have what we call state capacity, where we rely on policies to address problems. What are the government policies that are aimed at addressing such problems? And to further the conversation, we have what we call regulatory capacity. That is the ability of the state groups and enforce them to the letter. Do we have a government that is enforcing rules, or is just a government enjoying holidays? But you and I must be blamed because we have glorified governments. So their basic responsibilities, when they check them, we are not able to punish them. Once we punish them, they will begin to learn a whole lot of things and they will change their ways. We glorify them because we are so much glued to parties based on tradition. We are so much glued to party based on ethnicity and religion and whatnot. But the service that they should render for us, we have what? Close our eyes to it. This is very unfortunate. In any civilized or any mature democracy, people demand the service that are required of their leaders, and failure to which the leaders are thrown out of office. That must be learned and must be what? Part and parcel of our socialization process. That it doesn't matter whether the government belongs, you are part of that government or you are not. If they are not doing what is expected of them, vote them out. Over the years, this culture has never been part of us, and that is part of the suffering we have. In addition to this, institutions have broken down beyond repairs. What are the institutions that deal with refuse and filth in this country? Are they existing, or are people assigned those responsibilities? Do they draw salaries, and are we ensuring value for money? Institutions are broken. When I was a little boy at Ekropong, there were what we call sanitary inspectors, town council people.
Yeah.
They come around and they will summon you. I tell you, the famous Papa Kwekweku, you could not misbehave when man was coming around. You will be put before court. He put his mother before court for that type of, offense. Yes, Papa Kwekweku, the greatest of all. What are we seeing today? I mean, those institutions, are they working? Here you are. And every time we think that the least opportunity, we are out there collecting money to come and do exercise like cleaning our city and all that. At the end of the day, we don't get anything from that. And we as a people have decided that we will not question. Please, let's build that culture now, because you don't hate or you don't love any government. All that you care is that government must deliver on their promise. That's all. Once we do that, we'll be able to live in a very peaceful society. Look at advanced society that we clamor to visit and live there. It's nothing but beautiful environment that is well kept. That is all. What are we seeing here? A sorry story, slogans and all that do not work. Anybody who come out with slogan will make this place a cleaner city and all that, and we don't get results. Please, let us develop that culture of voting against them. Next time, they will learn and learn the hard way.
Thank you, Doc. Let's quickly complete the batch of stories in the Daily Graphic newspaper. First off, low turnout marks district-level elections. The low voter turnout once again characterized yesterday's district-level elections, an exercise to elect assembly and unit committee members for metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies across the country. Unlike general elections that are characterized by long queues and breathtaking moments, the polling centers were without the vibrancy of national politics. Instead, the general trickling in of voters, as witnessed by the Daily Graphic during visits to some polling centers in designated electoral areas in the Greater Accra region, left the temporary staff recruited by the Electoral Commission to conduct the elections virtually on holiday, with the centers looking forsaken. And that's what Emmanuel Bonney and Timothy Mbengbe report. So the process was slow. In some places, it didn't start in time or on time. As of 1:30 p.m., the Daily Graphic observed that none of the polling centers visited had recorded more than a quarter of the eligible voters on the poll book. At the Adabraka official town and Kinkanwe electoral areas, for instance, the paper observed that as of 11:50 a.m., none of the polling centers have recorded more than 40 votes. At the Adabraka official town electoral area, the paper observed that 29 people had voted out of 247 persons on the voters register of the St. Joseph Catholic 1 polling station. So it goes on and on. And yesterday, we had conversations about whether we'd be able to meet the 50% target set by the Electoral Commission, which we were hoping we would, but because it would deepen our democracy at that grassroots level. But it doesn't appear we hit the target. Let me also bring in these stories for your quick reflections. WAEC punishes AI-assisted candidates, withholds WASI results. So the West African Examinations Council has expressed worry over the rising incidence of examination malpractice in the country, with students faulted for generating artificial intelligence answers in the 2023 West African Senior School Certificate Examination. The head of National Office of WAEC, Wendy Enyonam Adilamte, described the situation as unfortunate, stressing that the issue required thorough investigations to unravel the actors behind the malpractice. She said, per the nature of examination malpractice, the complicity of some school authorities, teachers, and parents could not be ruled out. Obviously, if there is AI, there's only one way AI could have been brought into the picture. Someone using a computer or a phone or a tablet or phablet or some other gadget, and then just regurgitating the information for some students to copy. The question is, how did that happen? That's it. And finally, President urges citizens to adopt healthy lifestyles. President Akufo-Addo has urged citizens to adopt healthy lifestyles and behavior that would prevent them from acquiring non-communicable diseases. He expressed concern about the rising incidence of NCDs in the country and charged health authorities and other stakeholders to increase public discourse on the devastating impact of the disease on people's lives. He was speaking during a call on him by the leadership of the Ghana Red Cross Society at the Jubilee House in Accra yesterday. And he also said factors that cause diabetes and hypertension are mostly economic, social, attitudinal, behavioral, and dietary. Quick reflections?
Yeah, I will start with WAEC and their effort to stamp out irregularities in exams. It is well thought out and all that, but they need to do more.
Right.
How do these gadgets get into the exam hall? It means that there's a problem with supervision, because once you are stern and you have your men on the ground with eagle eyes, some of these things cannot slip through your fingers. So I'm surprised that people could get into the exam hall with powerful gadgets and trying to use modern technology to address questions. You know, it's unfortunate. If they don't have the capacity to understand these things, they should go to Legon and learn. When we are writing exam, my brother, you can't, cross the line. That I can praise my school for that. Look, you'll be caught and dismissed. So WAEC should be able to strengthen all the effort here to deal with this problem head on. What they can also do is to get more invigilators and, if possible, get more cameras in the exam centers so that nobody can, misbehave in exam hall. And then they should continue with what the socialization process, educating the need to do independent work. It is so important. It is so important. Once they get the basics right, I'm sure you're home and right. Low voter turnout for district assembly elections. It's not news because this country, yes, we claim that we are democracy. We want to build a solid democracy. We will forget about that. Democracy developed from the grassroots. The grassroots, we are not ready to strengthen their efforts. Think tanks, scholars have researched into these things and have realized the need to make the district assembly election partisan. And we had opportunity as a people through a referendum to decide whether that direction is what we want to go. We threw that away. And now here we are. Once you have something that is different from the national level, it creates a whole problem. Partisan at the national level and non-partisan at the base, it's contradictory. And there is a need for this conversation to be brought back one more time for a thorough discussion and understanding so that we can opt for this partisan nature of election at the district level or not. It is the way to go.
Let's wrap with some more stories in the Ghanaian Times, and then we'll do the daily guide and call it a review. Traders decry low sales ahead of Yuletide. Some traders at Kanishi Market pictured there. They're saying, and I guess it's on the back of the economy. We felt that, once we got into the season, things would be better, but it appears that is not necessarily the case. That story is on page 12 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. But let me quickly do these. If we don't curb over monetization, terrorists will soon hijack our democracy. Bernard Mona says so. He says, if we don't curb over monetization, of course, of our politics, terrorists will soon hijack our democracy. Then there is La Polyclinic nurses clash with management over off days. They are saying they want the system to revert to where they would have, yes, the 40-hour working shift, but 2 days to rest. And then President launches evaluation of National Anti-Corruption Action Plan Thursday, which is tomorrow. President Akufo-Addo is scheduled to launch the evaluation of Ghana's maiden National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, that is NACAP, at the Banquet Hall of the Jubilee House tomorrow, Thursday, 21st December 2023. NACAP constitutes Ghana's national framework to drive anti-corruption activities and promote national development. Recently, I heard the Attorney General and Minister of Justice talking about NACAP 2 and all of that, but I don't know whether we are not losing the fight against corruption. We keep having or bringing to bear all of these things. At least one thing I saw had to do with, declaration of assets and more things that would be done in the future. But that is with NACAP 2, I believe. But so far, I don't know what this has meant for us in terms of fighting corruption. Any quick thoughts?
Yeah, I'll start with the NACAP activities. Yes, brilliant idea. But as to whether it will work or we want it to work. As for corruption, this country, let us not pretend we are not ready to fight it, especially the political class. They are not, because they benefit from corruption. So they are not ready to fight corruption head on. So all the time, what they do is that they throw in all manner of ideas and then, energize the society, get everybody to think along the lines that, yes, something meaningful is going to be done, but only to turn around to look at it and say that, look, we are not achieving anything. I believe that we have virtually lost the fight against corruption. We know it. We are only pretending. But a time will come, I'm not a doomsayer, it will bite us the more. That is the time we will run to seek refuge under good governance and make sure that we root out corruption from our society. Today, we are paying lip service. A time will come, we'll pay dearly for that. So let us play the ostrich and then deceive ourselves into believing that we are fighting we are putting up a fight against corruption. We are not. Because once you introduce policies and you yourself as a government, you are not ready to let it work.
Right.
Then what is the point of introducing it for the first time?
Right.
I don't get it. When people are, taking on, right? Then you will see government coming to their rescue and all that. My goodness, are we ready to fight corruption? Ben, the least said about corruption, the better. We are not ready.
All right. Let's quickly wrap with these. Daily Guide, SML has 5-year contract. I've seen a statement from SML. I'm sure, Doc, you followed the story about the 3 billion Ghana cedi lie, the fourth estate, and that expose. SML has come out with a statement seeking to defend itself. All I'm asking, let's get into the matter. OSP, among others. What is truth? What is fact? What is fiction in there? $100 million at stake every year, whether it's a 5-year contract or 10-year contract, is still taxpayers' money. And we must account for every last red cent in there, every last peswa. Ghanaians are suffering too much for some of these things to be happening. That's what I will say. Belgian New Force girl faces deportation, or deportation, I should say. That's the Bouissi lady, Shalima Bouissi. But this story, the Finder newspaper, 2 stories. EC reschedules district-level elections in parts of Ashanti and Eastern regions. We heard of that. And then, for Amweni, the lawyer and boxing pundit, if you like, he says the best cathedral is anti-LGBTQIA plus law. That's what he says. Do you have any quick reactions in about a minute? And it's a wrap.
Yes. I think I have to bend back to one of the topics you raised, which escape our attention: monetization of politics.
Yeah.
Bernard Morna. Kudos, Ben. You've done well. This problem has been with us. We are not ready to deal with it. We glorify the whole process. Now, when you talk about it, people say, oh, yeah, we are giving transport. Something small, 200, right?
Did you see the district level elections? We captured a group. They had pounded fufu, they had made rice, they had given TNT, transport, and all of that.
Yeah.
And they said because the elections hadn't come off.
We are not a serious people. If you take the TNT excuse that they give, they said, oh, look, I just gave 200 just for TNT. They forget that 200 can influence voter choice. It is a fact. Then I have the means, and I tell you that, look, I can give 1,000 Ghana. Then you are complaining. Are we not curing the problem of transportation? And another level, I tell you that, look, somebody has what it takes to give you a V8 to deal with transport problem for once and for all, and you complain. If it is wrong, it is wrong. Ab initio. What are we talking about? Look at campaigns. Look at the things we are sharing, goodies and all that. We have lost it. Campaigns are driven by messages that are born out of the problems of society. And they are the building blocks of every democratic structure. So if you go against it, then I'm not sure we are in a realm of democracy. Maybe something else, but not democracy. But democracy is driven by issues, and issues move campaign, and campaign move people to vote one direction or another. If you want to do something different, I'm afraid we are not building a democracy. But you and I will continue to drum into the ears of those who have the ears to listen. And I know with time, the multiplying effect will save everybody.
Right. Doc, we're going to have to sew it up here very quickly. And thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. We wish you the best of this Wednesday. He is a political scientist at the University of Ghana and director of the Center for European Studies. Right before we get into sports, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us bring you this segment every weekday. And they're offering you, if you're a man, free prostate screening. If you're a woman, free fertility screening. Here's where you can find them. Here in Accra, at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronomabwe behind the Angel Educational Complex. The Stakradi Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswe and Siaman Zima. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. That leads us right into sports. Up next with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi.